Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Everyone is tired today. You want me to say it in Kinyarwanda? Mwiriwe? Amakuru? Thank you very much. I know everybody's tired. We have been working very hard in the past 2 days, and some 3 days, and some the whole week preparing this event. And it's our great pleasure to have hosted this conference in Rwanda. Thank you, UNESCO, and the team that we've been working together. We are glad that it happened, and thank you very much for attending. So this will be very short. It's a wrap-up session for us today so that people can start their weekend and start packing their bags going back home. And maybe before we start, it's just a reminder, we still have our interpretation, French and English, for those who are in the room, but also those online. And then we are going forward to look at the lessons learned. We'll be reflecting on some of the lessons that we've learned in these 2 days, but also looking exactly at what we've been learning in teacher innovation. And we will also look ahead on how we can take these lessons in the future, in the 1 year to come, 2 years, within the Teacher Task Force, but also in our institutions and globally. So today, this evening, I have Mr. Carlos Vargas. Carlos Vargas is Chief of Section for Teacher Development at UNESCO, and he's also the head of Secretariat of the International Task Force on Teachers for Education. We also have Enoch. Enoch is the Chief Director, Ministry of Education, South Africa. I hope he's online. Enoch, are you with us?
Yes, I am
okay, we'll
online.
see if we get Enoch. He'll be able to talk to us today.
I am online, moderator.
The Senior Education Policy Advisor at GIZ Germany. And then we conclude our meeting today. So we've had very interactive sessions in the past 2 days, learning from different countries, including Rwanda. Remember, we had sessions yesterday. We had Minister of State today, Minister of State in charge of ICT and TVET, who took us through the innovations in policies in Rwanda. And I'm sure we've learned a lot. We've also seen different challenges that we all share, whether Rwanda or other countries, Malawi and other countries that are here, even elsewhere, around teachers' workload, issues around our teachers adapting to new technologies and methods of teaching, especially learning from the COVID-19 situation. And they're still dealing with the impact of COVID-19 in teaching and learning in our schools, but also not forgetting teacher motivation and their welfare, because it's very, very important to us. Now, Mr. Carlos, I would like to invite you to tell us and give us some wrap up on take home. What do we take from this conference?
Thank you very much, Madame Rose Baguma, DG on Policy Analysis from Minaduk, for your introduction. I have the very difficult task of summarizing the wealth and the richness of the conversations we've had in the last couple of days, which is of course very, very difficult to do in a little time, but I'll do my best. Just to say that in these past 2 days, we've heard from high-level from high-level participants in the opening ceremony. We also heard from 65 different speakers in 3 plenary panels addressing innovation in teaching and learning, innovation in teacher education, and innovation in policy making, and how we actually use policy to foster innovation in teaching. And we heard from these speakers also in 10 breakout sessions in each of the topics. So it will be very difficult to summarize, but maybe some of the take home, some of the takeaway messages that Rose was referring to, and that I can enumerate, is that we heard from the start of the conference that establishing a new social contract for education in which the voices of teachers are prioritized and there is investment in teachers in the effort to revitalize pedagogies and curricula. This requires drastic mind shifts about the concept and purpose of education and a clear vision of what is meant by key components, quality teaching, and the core curriculum, as we heard in plenary 1. In this process, it's critical to pay attention to what we know about learning being relational and being social. I don't know if this is, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. We heard from our keynote speaker, Linda Darling-Hammond, and from Antonio Novoa as well, as to the role of technology in these new pedagogies and modes of learning. Consensus that technology is a tool which can support and enhance multiple processes, but it is not itself a solution. We also heard that the prerequisite of innovation is collaboration at all levels. Teachers are a critical partner. This was reiterated throughout the 2 days in harnessing and developing collective efforts for innovation. Several speakers emphasized starting with listening to teachers and their needs to deliver the goals of education. Innovation must fit into teachers' work and the work with their learners. We also had the pleasure of having the Minister of Education of Rwanda with us. She drew our attention to the importance of innovations being generated and implemented across systems at different levels and working in partnership across systems and between systems. In support of this, the government of Rwanda is establishing a center for school leadership to build capacity in Africa, which is one of the tasks that we would be very happy to support. In plenary 1, we heard about the coherence throughout the full system, from the national to the local, from the curriculum to the pedagogies to the assessment and the professional development of teachers. This coherence is vital for innovation to be scaled. We also heard about the value of teachers that has been more publicly recognized as of COVID-19. Well, we have heard as well that this importance, this social standing, this esteem that society has for teachers is not corresponded with their working conditions, with the support that they deserve. We heard about the importance of school leadership as well as a means of support for teachers, but that leadership itself is not restricted to principals or headmasters, but it is actually embedded in the work of teachers. The second plenary told us about the importance of adaptability in education systems to be prepared for rapidly changing environments, which is best achieved through innovation on the teacher profession. Throughout the event, and particularly in panel 2, there was an emphasis on the agency and the autonomy that teachers need in order to deploy their full potential, their full capacity, their full creativity and innovation. It emphasized how the unprecedented novel situation of the COVID offered autonomy to teachers and school leaders to develop innovation. Autonomy was understood as the possibility of freedom to develop new forms of work, relationships, pedagogies, interpretations of the curriculum within the school and within communities. We also heard that autonomy does not mean solitude, that teachers, we have reiterated, and teaching is a relational, it is a social undertaking. So the role of peer learning, the role of teacher inquiry, the role of communities of practice is something that we will ponder on in the years to come. Autonomy is not in isolation or individualism, but working collaboratively with peers and other actors in networks, teacher research groups, and professional communities. The breakout sessions also raise the issue of how successful innovations can be preserved in the face of the embedded inertia of relatively stable education systems. We also heard in the breakout sessions about how leadership in education involves not just the school leaders, but teachers themselves, as well as district officials, the school board members, and other community members. And finally, then the third plenary, we heard again from the minister from Rwanda, emphasizing the need to pay attention to holistic needs of teachers, their well-being, access to tools, including technologies, as well as opportunities for social and intellectual enrichment if we are to expect them to innovate. They reinforce the idea that teaching is a collective endeavor and involves multiple actors across the system, and that inclusive education ensures inclusion of all teachers in teacher professional development opportunities. It was suggested that teachers and other educators need to become more comfortable with uncertainty to develop mindsets as lifelong learners. The importance of trust in innovation and in spaces for teachers and in their voices at multiple levels in education systems. Finally, the autonomy of teachers and the voice of teachers needs to be enhanced by means of giving them a more protagonist role in educational decision-making, from the classroom to the school, to the education system, and to policymaking. For that, we need to commit our efforts individually and collectively. I believe it will be in the next steps of the work of the International Task Force on Teachers for Education 2030 to continue to research these areas, to continue to advocate for this protagonist role of teachers, and to promote policy learning between countries and between regions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos. Let me confirm if you have Enoch with us. Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Very well, Enoch.
Okay.
So, Mr. Enoch, would you please tell us about the future work of the task force, the teacher task force, for the national and regional perspective?
Let me take this opportunity to thank the Secretariat of the Teacher Task Force and also thank the participants to the 13th Policy Dialogue Forum. Also thank the government of Rwanda who have hosted a very successful policy dialogue forum. The Teacher Task Force plays a very important role in ensuring that the teacher target in the Sustainable Development Goals is achieved. Secondly, the Teacher Task Force plays a critical role in ensuring that the ideals of the 1966 UNESCO ILO recommendation on the status of teachers are achieved. And the Teacher Task Force has ensured that as countries, we place teachers at the center of our education system, and has also brought awareness to the fact that no education system can be better than its teachers. It is on that basis that the Teacher Task Force, through its strategic plan as well as its work plan, has adopted the three main lines of action as actionable points going forward. Firstly, to ensure that countries continue to generate and share knowledge and innovative practices. And our flagship program, in as far as that is concerned, of course, is our knowledge sharing platform. And we want to continue to encourage member countries to make use of the knowledge sharing platform to share the innovations that they embark upon, but also to see what other countries are doing and what solutions do they have for some of the common problems that we have. Secondly, the second main line of action is around advocacy, which is around creating awareness about the important work that the task force is doing. And we continue to encourage countries to advocate and support the work of the task force and make sure that the work of the task force is known and is utilized across the world. And thirdly, which is the third main line of action, is around regional collaboration to ensure that countries at the regional level can collaborate with each other, can share information. And we want to also encourage the focal points of the teacher task force to collaborate with each other and to advocate for the work of the task force. We want to encourage countries to continue to support the work of the teacher task force and to make their resources and expertise available to the task force, because the task force, its strength and its capacity depends on the support that it is receiving from its countries. The COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the need for innovation and for collaboration. But we have also been cautioned in this dialogue forum about the need for us not to leave anyone behind. So as we embark in technological practices, we've got to make sure that we adhere to the principles of access, to the principle of participation, and to the principle of impact. We've got to make sure that we are cognizant of the skills of our teachers, access to the tools, the infrastructure, and issues of equity. All of those things will ensure that as a task force, we are able to move forward with strength. Yes, COVID-19 has provided an emergency situation, but we know that in third world countries, particularly in Africa, there are other emergency situations through wars, through other activities that continue to disrupt education. So what we have learned out of this dialogue is the need for different countries to innovate and to collaborate. And we want to express our thanks to the teacher task force, the co-chairpersons that are outgoing, the secretariat of the task force, and the members of the task force for ensuring that teachers continue to be supported and ensuring that teachers continue to be at the center. And as incoming chairpersons, we will ensure that the ideals of the task force are carried forward. And we subscribe to the principle that says nothing for teachers without teachers. We look forward to working together in implementing the work plan and the strategic plan of the teacher task force in the coming years. And for all of you who participated in the 13th Policy Dialogue Forum, we want to express a word of thanks to all of you for sharing your knowledge and expertise. And we look forward to seeing you in future engagements. Thank you very much.
Indeed, nothing for teachers without teachers. Thank you very much, Mr. Enoch. And now I'll go straight to Mr. Effen. who will be talking to us about the engagement, the future work of the TTF, but this time on the global perspective.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear co-workers, let me start with this short story. Before I traveled to Kigali, my little daughter approached me. Her name is Amina, and she said, "Daddy, where are you going? And what are you doing?" And I tried to explain to her global agenda setting, advocacy, an 11 years old girl. And she said, "Why are you spending so much money for traveling and not giving the money to a school?" And I'm very delighted to be here at the end of such an excellent conference. But I think we have to ask ourselves one major question, which is exactly what my daughter was asking me. How do we know that we have actually impact? How do we know that we have achieved something? Of course, there's no formula. There's no easy answer. I don't have any answers to it. I have many, many questions because we are living in a very complex reality. Not only the pandemic, but also other external factors are always there, hampering development and making systems very fragile. But I think we need to have some criteria to see if we are making a difference. So I think that there's a foundation that we have to set that fulfills these aspects, that gives us a framework, a lead. And I will come also to the aspect of global agenda setting in a second, but also Enoch mentioned a few things. So I don't want to repeat myself, but I want to give you some certain criteria where I think that we can actually measure success. So the first thing, I think we need a common and proper vision. And we have the SDG agenda, and due to the task force on Teachers for Education 2030, we were able to incorporate target 4C. And I think this is also the reason why we're here. Global agenda setting is a must. It is necessary, mandatory. Although it is not showing a direct impact for students' learning, but it's helping global agendas, not neglecting the topics of teachers. So I think this is very relevant. And based on this strategy, on the SDGs, we have a strategic plan with all the MLAs, with advocacy, knowledge exchange, policy learning. And so I think we should push forward this strategic plan and try to do our best for global agenda setting. Number two, involving all relevant actors. Dialogue, discourse, this is crucial in order to understand realities better. Only different perspectives can actually enlighten and give us new knowledge on systems that are dynamic and not static, always changing. When looking at the Policy Dialogue Forum, I think it was very good to have involved politicians, high political level, decision makers. This is key for the future because we need their support. Of course, for many, many years, this network brings together unions, private sector, civil society organizations, countries, which I think is one major achievement that the task force actually is doing year by year. The third is learning mechanisms. I think we are always talking about learning, but we ourselves have to install learning mechanisms, learning loops. We have to set objectives, we have to implement, reflect, adjust the objectives, implement, reflect. And the same with the PDF. If we are going home, everybody should reflect. What have we actually achieved? How can we improve? And I think we should never stand still. We should always try to improve and to be very, very critical, and nothing that we are doing should be just accepted as it is because it's easy. I mean, we are all biased, and just to accept the reality as it is easy, but actually to step forward and trying to reflect and maybe do something new. This is a huge challenge, and I think that we are on the right way. Learning also happens when it comes to collaboration. And I think the task force on teachers, the network, is a great opportunity to reach out to other actors and to collaborate. For this reason, for example, Germany reached out to the ILO. Today in the session, we shared some findings of this cooperation. So I think learning is also happening there on an institutional level, because we only launched that cooperation because we believed to create an added value. But not only on an institutional level, but also on an individual. And at this point, I would like to thank Oliver Liang and Nikolina Postic from the ILO, from whom I learned a lot constantly over the last years and who have contributed to the PDF constantly. And I believe that many people are sitting in this room also contributing and having collaborations that were emerging from this platform, but we are not talking about it. And I think this is definitely a success. And for this reason, Germany believes that there's a great potential in that network and that we are focusing on the right agenda. And we are very happy, together with South Africa, to take over the co-chair role, with also the support of Norway for a certain transition period. And we are looking forward to pushing further this agenda. And let me thank the Rwandan government for hosting us in this most beautiful country. I was really amazed. It's my first time that I have traveled to Kigali, and it is really beautiful, and I felt very welcomed. Thank you also to the TTF Secretariat and UNESCO and everyone who contributed to this success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Effen. And I'm sure we are going to show your daughter, your 11-year-old daughter, that we didn't waste money to travel to Rwanda. We didn't waste money to hire this hotel. And we promise all of us that we are going to put into action what we learned from each other anyway, because we have different experiences. And for us, it was a privilege, because for us, we are the host, and we got to know everybody from different countries and learn from everybody here. So for us, it's beneficial more than anyone else who attended this conference. So thank you very much. And let me open up if we have any comments, because we are now wrapping up. I don't expect a lot of questions. I'm not stopping anyone from asking a question though, but I think we will get more comments and inputs as we close the session. So if you have, yes, I see Leon over there. Can we get a microphone?
Yes, thank you very much for these wonderful closing remarks. And I would like just to, as take home, Carlos, we cannot forget the school visits. So I would like just to remind that here participants had opportunity to visit different schools. The 2nd December, I remember it was yesterday. No, the 1st December. They visited the Vargas school and IPRC Kichikiro. And today, the other participants also had another opportunity to visit Lycée Notre Dame de Citeaux. So that is also a take home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leo. We hope that our guests learned a lot from those schools. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. When Irfan mentioned the age of his daughter, I was also doing my maths. How long I've been associated with the Teachers Task Force is exactly 11 years. And also, and I served nearly 8 years with the steering committee. I've done ups and downs of this one. But what I'm really like to really, very pleased, first of all, thanking, the Ministry of Education, in this very uncertain period, and you are so calm. Still, it's not the country of welcome to country of hills or something, but I would like to just change that one. Not only hills, the smiles, the hopes you have given us. And this is just as a co-coordinator of inclusion and equity. I always believe that you make a connection. So this event is not an end, but it's the beginning of our journey. So we need to continue. The two chairs mentioned about the word collaboration. And this morning I say collective wisdom. So if we all work collaboratively and generate collective wisdom, we can achieve SDG 4 by 2030. So we need to go with hope. And finally, I would like to pitch, please join different working groups. And that is the forum. We have Knowledge Forum, and I am a co-coordinator of inclusion equity working groups. And this dialogue, let's continue that dialogue. And thank you very much again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other comment from the room? All right. What about online? Do we have any comment? All right. Thank you very much. I would like now to invite Mr. Carlos for the closing.
Thank you, thank you very much, Rose. It is my pleasure to say a few words of thanks to our close partners in the government, without whose support this forum would not have been possible. And thank you, Leon, for reminding us about the school visits that we were very happy to join. I didn't want to mention the school visits. I didn't want to mention the wonderful reception we had last night, the dances, the laughter, and the hope we shared, because I didn't want to make envious the people that are watching us from a distance, but thank you very much for that. We would like in particular to thank the members of the Ministry of Education and the Rwandan Basic Education Board, who have been our close partners since the beginning in Rwanda. In particular, DG Rose Baguma and Leon Mugenzi, of course, for whom I would like you to join me in join your hands and thanking them for their hospitality. Without your support, without your hospitality, without the incredible work of the UNESCO National Commission and the Secretary General, Albert Mutesa, can you please join your hands again for Albert? Without them, without this support, it would not have been possible. Of course, they have also been supported literally by an army of people in the ministry who have also been working behind the scenes to help us. So thanks in particular to Flavia, to Sylvie, Solange, Juliette, Bella, Magnifique, Jimmy, Claude, Joanna, Eric, Mohammed, Winnie, Valence, and many others. We would also like to thank Elijah from the Rwandan Convention Bureau for all her work and all her guidance. And we also, thank you. And we also extend our thanks to the hotel staff who have been very helpful and attentive to all of our needs. In particular, we want to thank the technical teams who made magic to work in the rooms and in the connections. Thank you very much to the technical team. Of course, we also want to thank all the TTF members who organized breakout sessions We thank the speakers, the presenters for all your time and for all your efforts in putting together the many different sessions that we have been able to attend over the past 2 years. We also thank the distinguished speakers who have joined the panels over the last few days. Thank you very much. And if you'll allow me, I would also like to thank the Secretariat of the TTF, in particular, my team. So if I would like you to please put your hands together for Leila, Peter, Erin, Yael, Maram, Anna, and Emilia. Thank you very much. And I know the team is also watching behind the scenes and in the platform. We had also the section for teacher development at UNESCO. We had our colleagues Aglaya, Sarah, Valerie, Florence, Lydie, Senaf, taking care of business so that we could be in Kigali with us. So thank you. Thank you very much. Last but not least, thanks to you. Thanks to the participants for your presence during these days, for the insights that you have shared. We definitely take away a number of messages and the energy and the willingness to work together towards the Sustainable Development Goal 4 on teachers, so that we have more empowered, better trained, qualified, and remunerated teachers. Thank you very much. And a final word to say, we have refreshments outside of the room, so I think they are well deserved. Thank you.